My interdimensional portal device. It's got no charge left, Morty. It's got no charge left.
What?
It's as good as garbage, Morty. It's not gonna work anymore, Morty.
What are we gonna do?
You're gonna have to do me a real solid.
Uh-oh.
When we get to customs, I'm gonna need you to take these seeds into the bathroom, and I'm gonna need you to put them way up inside your butthole, Morty.
My butt?
Put them way up inside there, as far as they can fit.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
You gotta do it for Grandpa, Morty. You gotta put these seeds inside your butt.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Conarium. Contrary to what I let you on with that Rick and Morty reference, it's actually a horror adventure inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's story At the Mountains of Madness. The game was made by Zoetrope Interactive, a three-man team which resides in Istanbul, and as far as I can tell they are big fans of all that is horror. I found this game on Steam during a summer sale and something about it made it an instant buy for me. Maybe it was the price, maybe it was the title card, or that I am a sucker for horror myself. I honestly don't know anymore. But I do know that I bought it and then never touched it. Until now. Conarium throws you into the world of Frank Gilman, a scientist who is currently stationed in an Antarctic research site, and that's pretty much all we know at the start of the game. Yes, the developers deemed it necessary to pull file number 255 out of their folder for overused plot elements, the Amnesiac Hero. By the time I realized this, I wanted to turn the game off again and delete it from my library. And I would have, if it weren't for that strange device in the middle of the room and that smartwatch 5000 on my wrist, which was obviously not just here to tell me the time. So maybe I should give this game the benefit of the doubt, I thought, and overused plot elements aside, it became quite entertaining. After a little wandering around, we start to see visions of other people roaming through the station. Overused horror element number 12, by the way, and after restoring power to the facility, trying to contact people via radio, and checking the whole station, it has become clear that we are all alone and cut off from any outside source, stranded in the middle of ice nowhere. If you're interested, number 35. Since there is no one here to tell us what happened, we have to gather necessary information from notes our co-workers left us behind, and through the power of reading, we discover that there is a basement with an elevator that leads further down into a widespread cave system. But before we can use the elevator, we learn a bit more about what was going on and what actually was researched at this facility. Plants and drugs. Lots of psychoactive plants and drugs, which apparently give the user the ability to reveal the true nature of things. I fucking knew it, cats are demogorgons from the upside down. Once down in the caves, the visions start to get more violent, and as it turns out, that thing on our wrist is partly responsible for that effect. Do you remember that blue glowing orb at the beginning of the game? That is the titular Conarium, and it is able to share experiences between users and, generally speaking, living entities. Possibly even between other dimensions man should never had access to in the first place, and the watch you have is a receiver. As you progress through the caves in order to find out what happened to your team of researchers, you will be confronted with events from the distant and not so distant past, and since this technology is just as flimsy as a Samsung Galaxy Note 7, you will start to witness some freaky stuff. With increased exposure to the Conarium, it gets harder and harder to tell what's real anymore. But severing the connection to the Conarium means that you won't get any info anymore about the strange and otherworldly civilization that lived down here ages ago, which ultimately holds the key to your survival, the whereabouts of your crew, and a way out of this horrible nightmare. There is no way but forward, my friend. So hang on to your sanity as long as you can. You will need every last bit of it. Conarium scores big points with a well-rounded atmosphere. The Unreal 4 engine gives the caves you are about to explore an eerily and chilly vibe. I can tell that a lot of time went into the visual design. The levels look surreal, otherworldly, and in short, I had no trouble believing that something non-human built all this. Through several notes and visions, you will find out that these caves were home to an ancient elder race, which in turn was worshipped by some kind of lizard tribe. The remnants of their civilization, several machinations and magic can be found in pretty much every corner. And be it a mural, a weathered down statue, or a trinket a researcher brought home from another continent, it was truly a delight to look at these things from every possible angle. Of course, everything is derelict by now, and apart from the mummified corpses you find along the way, the place seems abandoned, but the visions you receive from the Conarium might suggest otherwise. Also, I get a very unintentional Papa Palpatine vibe from this particular statue, and I love it.
Do it, do it, do it.
The music in this game is one of the best things about it. It always keeps itself in the background, is never intrusive, and has a meditative and yet psychedelic effect on the mind. If I felt safe, I would just listen to the soundtrack for a bit and take it all in. It greatly enhances the eeriness of the experience. Unfortunately, I never felt really scared during my playthrough. Curious, yes. Cautious, maybe. Think of visiting a well-explored cave with a tour guide and you're getting close. And even though I felt curious to experience more, the voice acting does not complement the rest of the atmosphere. Every now and then I experienced several performances that took me right out of the immersion.
Oh, my head. The pain. It is unbearable.
Showing wins 9 out of 10 times over telling in my opinion and enriches the atmosphere in a very subtle but effective way. And we have to talk about that one time show doesn't exactly work, and unfortunately this game features that particular case too. Conarium comes down with a sickness that ravaged a lot of games from the early period of 3D gaming, and its common name is the door problem.
It's stuck. It's locked. Locked. It's locked. Locked.
Did I lock my door? I don't remember where my keys are.
Every time you explore a new area that has doors, which thank God aren't too many, you will be forced to try out every handle until you know where you can actually go and which doors are just locked up and can be opened later. Overall, I get the feeling that these efforts were made to take the player by the hand and guide him or her through the story, which is commendable. But that grip on the player is too tight for the game's own good, and because of that practice, it's also strictly linear. You will visit one place, and when you're done with the puzzles there, you will move on to the next room. The one time when this kind of hand-holding shows its merit is during the item handling. A lot of adventures make you pick a key item out of your pockets before you can use it on your target, and stuff like that can be quite tedious. Not so in Conarium. Your character knows what items he has and will instinctively use the right key on the right door or what have you, and there is no further input needed. In fact, there are just 2 times when you are forced to manually take an item in your hands, and that is when you have to smash a wall in with an axe, or use an alien crystal to shoo away some light-sensitive plants. Which brings me to the next big topic, the puzzles. Every adventure needs some good puzzles for some out-of-the-box thinking, and Conarium puzzles are, well, let's put it like this. You are not required to do math or recite Shakespeare, but they're at least interesting enough to keep you entertained, even though the solutions to most puzzles are found pretty quickly because they're more or less in plain sight. So here's my final word. Conarium is another walking simulator and can be dumped into the lot that is Outlast, Layers of Fear and Friends, and I can find nothing to contradict that statement. But nevertheless, it is a very pretty walking simulator with a Lovecraft-inspired story and a viable atmosphere to boot. And if you're in the mood for a chilling bedtime story a la Cthulhu, then by all means, you can do nothing wrong with this game. However, if you are not a fan of Lovecraft or want a brain teaser or challenging gameplay, then I suggest you focus your attention on something else. The story is, as intended, king in this game, and even though I would have wished for more challenging puzzles and less doors, Conarium is okay as it is. Far from the worst game ever, but equally far from the best.